והשיג לכם דייש is botzer yasig ezora v'chaltem lachemchem lesoiva. So this is Parshas Bechikois, we have the two sides of the coin. What happens if things go properly, when things go according to the rule of nature, and what happens when things go against the rules of their spiritual nature, of their subtle reality, and the internal starts fighting with the external. The energy fights with the form, the tzura fights with the chomer. The spiritual fights with the physical. So on the side of the good, the pasuk says, "V'si bechem dayish es botzer yasig ezor v'chaltem lachem lesoiva." That you're going to eat and feel satiated. This is something we see a lot in the brachas, that your food fulfills you. This doesn't only refer to the physical food, it also refers to the spiritual food, which I'm feeding you right now, words, which is the food of the nefesh ha'medaberes, that you should find peace within those words. And you see the ultimate bracha of the shalom is v'nesati shalom ba'aretz v'shavtem betach. That a person has security, and he knows who he is and what he is, and all his needs are fulfilled, he's satiated, he doesn't have any pains, and then he's ready to contemplate his reality. He's ready to start realizing who he is, where he is, and why he is. And this can only happen once a person has eliminated the different distractions. The different distractions have to do with pain and pleasure. So when everything is taken care, that a person has peace, the pleasures that are necessary for his existence are there, are provided for. The ones that are not necessary, he has no interest in. And he doesn't feel like there are any enemies coming after him. There's anything bad out there that's going to come for him, that's going to somehow ruin his experience. That's when he's ready to go into the spiritual domain. ויש בזה רמז נפלא ועומק, הדרך דיסא וגמור ברוכס אומר אבינו בברכה משם רב אלעזר הכפר. כל המשתף שם שמיים בצער וכופן לא יפרנסוסו. If somebody is משתף שם שמיים, he's משתף, he brings in as a shittif the name of heaven, the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into his tzar. So he recognizes that something deeper than him, that has a will to manifest in this world, is bitzar. When he is bitzar, because it means that there's some deeper force, there's some deeper energy that doesn't have its home, it doesn't have its resting place, because he, the individual, is distracted by his problems. So when he recognizes that there's the Shem Shamayim is also involved in his tzar koifrun leparnasoso, they double his sustenance, his parnasa, his income. Shenemar, v'hoya shakai b'tzarecho v'kesef te'afes lach. V'hoya shakai b'tzarecho means when you will see shakai, the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, within your limitations, within your problems, v'kesef te'afes lach, this will bring you tremendous kesef, tremendous kisufin. So some of the prishim on kesef te'afes lach is that the kesef, your kisufim, your desires, are going to transcend to the spiritual realm. Te'afes means the type of flying, like a oif that flies, that your kesef is going to fly up. Kesef te'afes lach. Instead of wanting gashmis, you're going to want ruchnis. Because you recognize the Shem Shamayim that's in Yetzirah, you recognize the nefesh that's at the source of all your problems and all your solutions, the experiencer of the problems, the one that lives inside your body and can never leave. So when the external presentation of life, when the data coming in through the senses is disturbing to that nefesh, you realize that the nefesh is the one that needs counseling, the nefesh is the one that needs to be helped, not the whatever it is perceived externally. Whatever is perceived externally is causing some disturbance within the nefesh, but it's the nefesh that needs to be taken care of. A person like that, the kesef te'afes lach, then your desires become spiritual. You recognize that it's the spiritual one inside of you that needs help. It's not anything external, more money, more people, social interactions, more fame or fortune or whatever people are running after. That's not really the issue. All of that is because they're trying to please their nefesh. They're trying to please the one that lives inside their body. And when something is disturbing to the nefesh, to the one that's living inside the body, then these people know that the solution is spiritual. The solution is in the beliefs, the solution is in the ways of thinking, the solutions are in the letters and words that created the problem in the first place. Reb Shmuel ben Achmani Amar, Parnesoso moifefes lo ketzipor, shenema v'kesef te'afes lach. So you see this comparison between the oif and the flying. That is parnosa moifefes lo. It comes flying to him. he doesn't have to worry about it, because when a person sets himself straight in the spiritual, when the nefesh is mesudar, then the things that are in the physical, on the physical plane, work themselves out, because the person's negative energy is not disturbing his shefa, it's not disturbing his mazal. ויש לו ונתן לזה השני כנגד מידה. הואיל בסיליקס עצמו לגמרי, אפילו באש הצר לו, אם אבן היא ששורשי בשכינה כביכול, בכל צורוסם לא יצר, that because the person's root is in the Shekhinah, because we're all part of this collective one, so b'chol tzarasim lo yitzar, when one of its parts is not functioning, then the Shekhinah itself is disturbed, then the collective is disturbed, then the big spiritual being that we all comprise together doesn't have the units functioning appropriately. And this affects all the people around us, and it affects society at large, because we're all members of it. So regardless of our position, we're all contributing to what happens on this planet, and we all have to take responsibility for our part of what takes place on this planet. How do we contribute? Do we make it better or worse? And each of us has a footprint. Nobody's an island. We all have people around us. We all have a person inside of us. And we all have people that we occasionally interact with, and all that has a direct influence on how life runs, on what life means to people, and how they experience it. Who is the one who feels the pleasure? Who is the one that feels the pain? This is the neshama that's feeling. This is his life force. This is the life force that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put inside of the person. So when a person has pleasure or pain, this is affecting his life force directly. This is affecting his neshama. As soon as the neshama leaves and he doesn't have life force, he doesn't feel anything. So this is something that maybe we should get into a little more. The Tanug and the Tsar. The Sefer Yetzira teaches us that at the origin of language, when the 70 nations created language, they created it with a full understanding of what they were doing. But once the people were indoctrinated into language, once the people growing up knew only one language from when they were born, and this is all they used to interact, then language became a type of prison for the mind. The mind can't get out of the prison that language creates for it, because it only has language to work with in the first place. So there's a type of limitation on the spiritual essence that's created through language. Now, Avraham Avinu, when he noticed what the Dor HaFluga is up to, when he noticed how these cultures are coming into existence, he wanted to let us know how language works and how it traps the mind, so that we can eventually release ourselves from that prison and recognize what it means to be human prior to language, so to speak. And this is a very deep spiritual work that people who want to go through have to really dedicate their lives to, because every time we speak, we're reconfirming to our internal essence that the bondage of words is real, that we believe and we are willing to operate and abide by these rules. So this becomes more and more permanent every time we speak, because this is when we speak, there's a type of marriage happening between the Olam HaMachshava, the world of thought, which is called the Bina, and the Malchus, which is the world of words, the world that's created by words. So, and then this Malchus, and this world of words, is where all the dinim take place. Dina de Malchisa Dina means that all the dinim get created in the world of words. They get created by words, and they also get understood and interpreted by words. And the way out of that prison is to go back to the Bina, which is called the Yovel, the Alma de Cheres, which is above the Midos, because as long as the person hasn't worked out his Midos, he can't untangle himself from this web of words and feelings and emotions and associations. Only if he's worked his Midos, where he's Hen Velav Shovin, where he gets to a situation of Ishtavus, where it makes no difference to him what happens to him, can he actually start looking at life and interpret life, what it is really like without words. So the basis of language, the Sefer Yetzira says, Eser Mishtayim Oisis Yisoid, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Chokak, V'chotzav, V'shokal. These are all the different vibrations that happen through the letters as we emit letters from our mouth, as we emit sounds. These sounds have a significant impact on our bodies and on our minds because they've been trained to do so. If you remember when they were teaching you the Aleph Binu, ah, ba, ga, da, they were just getting started on you. Look what has happened with letters and words since then in your mind and in your experience and in your entire life. It's a life of letters. It's a life of words. Everything that you've interpreted since those moments of ah, ba, ga, da, you did with the letters and words that they taught you. Now, that's why the Sefer Yetzira finishes that mission. It says, "V'tzor behem nefesh kol yitzir v'kol ha'osid lotzir." That HaKadosh Baruch Hu was mitzayer with these letters and words, the nefesh of every living thing and the ones that are going to live. Because the letters define the nefashos and they create homes for them in which they can live, in which they can understand themselves, in which they can interact with reality. Now, at the essence of this is the power of association. That we teach a child to associate a certain concept, a certain idea in their mind to the letters. So this could be something that they're experiencing. It could be something that they're perceiving with their senses, like something they're perceiving with their eyes. They see an image and we tell them this is a nose. And then the association happens. And now this association is creating a spiritual experience. It's creating ruchos within that person. Sometimes ruchos tovos, good emotions, good feelings, and sometimes ruchos rois, sometimes bad emotions like anger and suppressed anger, which is depression, or anger that's continuously not fully understood, which can result in fears and in different negative emotions. The source of all of them is anger. And we see even by Moshe Rabbeinu, even though he was at the highest level that a human being ever was, he said, "Ki egorti me'af v'achayma," I was afraid of af and chayma, two different types of anger. That even Moshe Rabbeinu was afraid of these. And like it says in Sefer Tehillim, "Asher egorti bali," what I'm afraid of will happen to me. And Moshe's fear allowed the af and the chayma to get to him. Where did it get to him? When he said Shimino Amorim, when he got angry, and then he lost his entry to Olam Haba, he lost his life. So his fear materialized. Because we are Nevi'im, we have a level of Nevuah, which means that whatever we think, whatever we say, goes directly to the collective being, to the collective spirit, and it can manifest from there. It can become real. We have that power to define life. That's the power that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us. So the Sefer Yetzira says, "Ein b'toiv lemala mi'oineg, ve'en b'ro lemata minega." There's nothing in good that is higher than oineg, that is higher than pleasure, and there's nothing in bad that is worse than nega, that is worse than getting hurt. And in order to create the text that we're used to create the Torah doesn't use oineg and nega. The Torah uses toiv v'ra. Why did we have to dress up oineg and nega to toiv and ra? Because not everybody needs to know everything. Not everybody was at the level where they need to know everything. Why? Because if a person that's not fully developed, if a person that's still very much by the inclination of his animal spirit, he says, "En b'tov lemala me'oineg." For me, the best thing is pleasure. He can't even see. His animal spirit, his imagination doesn't notice the effects of what he's doing to the future, or to his spiritual self, or to other human beings. So he is not in a position where he can be the judge of what's good and what's bad. And therefore, we cannot say oineg and nega and make it clear, because if you can't see the other people involved, if you can't see the future, if you can see your own spiritual aspects and how they function, then you can grossly misinterpret what Tov and Ra is. You can deeply cause a lot of harm, a lot of nega, by your pursuit of oineg. However, when Avraham Avinu wants to tell you the secret of language, he says, know this. Everything you want is because you've associated it with pleasure, and everything you don't want is because you've associated it with pain. The base associations of language are these two polar opposites. I want what's good for me. I don't want what's bad for me. Now we can play with that. We can say if you do what's good for you now, it's going to be very painful later. If you do what's bad now, it's going to be very pleasurable later. Now we're playing with his associations. We're messing with his mind. But the reality is, at the bottom of the line, that you're going to follow whatever you think is going to cause you the most pleasure. That's essentially what your brain is programmed to do. You have no choice over the matter. So if the words are going to be powerful enough and they're going to switch your associations, then you're going to be able to manifest differently. But if the words are not powerful enough, if you can't see other realities, you only see the immediate, then you can be going after Oineg and finding yourself in Ega. So this is where Avraham Avinu is trying to teach us the seichel that's behind language. Because language is ultimately how we decide what to do and how we decide who we are. Our whole nefesh is built of letters and words. 22 letters and 10 nekudas. From that we are built. Our whole interpretation of life is built from that. And then the ruchos that become this oider by the words, these are associations that were created over time. And when a person's language is not mechuvan, or a person's language is not clean, his associations are not pure and not perfected, then the same words that cause somebody pleasure can cause another person pain. And this is ultimately how the Torah tests a person's heart, to see what are the associations that a person is going to create with reality and with the creator of reality. Can we confuse him about what's happening? Is he not solid enough to recognize his experience? Or will he be able to transfer everything that's said back into reality because the seichel is in charge? In which case we want to teach him everything there is to know about life. So there's a barrier that a person has to go through. There needs to be enough emotional development and intellectual development, spiritual development, that a person can handle the message that the Torah has to say without hurting himself and other people. So the Torah will test us on that to see if we're sichli enough to know what's real, and we won't get confused by imagined images that our mind will come up with based on different words and different ruchos that were created inside of us. Can we be sichli enough to stay objective, to recognize what's real? And are we emotionally good enough to be able to convert a message that seems heavy-handed, that seems not pleasant, to recognize the depth of good that's hidden inside of it? So that's why the Baal Shem Tov is referring a little bit to that statement when he's telling us that mihi amargish ba'odam atanik v'atzar, who are we dealing with over here? Who are we giving pleasure to and who are we hurting? Haloi nishmasoi is neshama. This goes directly up to the Mekar HaChaim. When a person is hurt, when a person is in pain, or when a person is feeling good, this goes directly back to the Mekar HaChaim that created life. He gets a text message when something like this happens. It's that important. That's how far. When we take somebody's good feeling away, that's who we're messing with. The big boss is gonna know about this. You can be certain of it, because he himself is gonna feel one of my soldiers is missing, man down. It's that important. So it says, how do you know? If the neshama is gone, it's all gone. Doesn't matter. The flesh doesn't matter. The flesh is just a dressing. The flesh is a levush. You want to be nice to the neshama, you'll have to go to the flesh and be nice through the flesh, because you can't deal with the neshama directly. We don't even know what a neshama looks like. So we look for the body and we speak to wherever the ears can hear. And then we know that it gets to the neshama. Because these are his receptacles. This is what he placed in front of us so we can interact with it. So the chayisoi, the life of a person, the bechina achas, is just one bechina mishoresh chai lechol hachaim, of the source of all life. Vanivram shira kadosh baruch hu keviyochel. Keshemeisim zeh aliboy, when he recognizes this deeply, v'noisen date leshoresh sharshoi, and he pays attention to the source of his source, she'ashchina keviyochel baruch hu mispalel aleya. He wants the big, united, collective being, humanity as a whole, to be healthy, to come out of its misery, to recognize its power, to see what it can do simply by changing the words, the rhetoric, and stopping to believe in propaganda and things that have no substantiation in reality, that cannot be found on any planet, in this one or any other one. When we come back to what's real and we recognize how the Torah interacts with life, so then this big being, this collective being that we are all a part of, can be healed. And when a person puts that on his heart and he recognizes the pain of the Shekhinah, the pain of the collective, not just his individual pain. How many times is his pain duplicated in other people? How many millions and millions and billions of people are suffering like he's suffering, and even more? So when he sees that, Then his mind goes up to the place of the yichud, where we're all one. When all our minds will reside in that unity, then we will all behave accordingly, and life will be healed. The shluchim of the Shechina, Kivyochel, perish al yedei chesroina v'tzari, when this individual tzaddik has something lacking, he's in pain, he knows that the Shechina is in lack, that he needs to daven for the collective, more important than the individual, because when the collective is healed, all will be healed. So it's like, for example, a person is depressed and can't come out of bed, can't do anything, but part of the depression is also that there's a lack of appetite. So they wouldn't just daven to get a better appetite, they should daven to be healed for the depression, because then they will have enough appetite in a healthy way, that they won't need to daven for anything, it will just be there. Mashenkin, if they daven for a good appetite, so they finish the meal, and then what happens tomorrow? Oitcho. So he says, when you have a problem, when you have a pain, don't just daven for your pain to go away. Daven for the collective humanity to be healed, so then all our pain will go away, and it will go away forever. So go to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is we're not in a good place. We're not using words to help ourselves. We're all unhealthy when it comes to the internal being. We're all not as peaceful and as loving and as kind and as gentle as we should be and as we could be if we were only trained differently. It's not more difficult, it's just different training. It's probably easier and more pleasant. And the interactions between you and yourself will reflect that, will reflect your external interactions. That's how it's programmed. There's no other programming that goes for the internal. All the programming happens in the external, and it just reflects back in the internal like a mirror. So your relationship with yourself is a reflection of your relationship with the people around you. There's no two ways about it. You work on one, the other will automatically follow, or you can't hold it on for long. It's one being. It's one being that's interacting with self and other. And the more we understand how to be forgiving and how to be kind, the more it will reflect our relationship with ourselves, which is also our relationship with reality, which is our relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all the same thing. It says, that you should be mechabed what's in your head. Don't daven if you're not mechabed what's in your head. What's in your head? The Shechina is there. When you speak, it's part of the collective talking. Just like when your hand speaks, you listen. If it hurts, you move it. The same way, when you speak, HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens. If you hurt, he'll move you. If you understand appropriately what type of movement is necessary and you're not working against it. So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the collective of all the us's, of all the me's and all the you's. So it cannot be a situation where you're hurting a human being, but it has nothing to do with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That there's no such a situation ever. Never happened, never will happen. Just like there cannot be somebody chopping off your fingers and you say, got nothing to do with me. I'm the head. So when we will all when a person recognizes this, then he can daven. Recognize who's in your rosh. What type of spirit, what type of powerful being lives inside your head. He might be in pain. He might feel like they clipped his wings, like he doesn't know how to fly anymore, like he doesn't know how to do it. But the power is there, the potential is there. He is that being. He just has to recover who he is. He just has to understand again who he is. He has to fix the words that clipped his wings to be words that give him wings. Why? Because they fixed their words. Their words don't hurt them anymore. So their nefesh is all there united to do the task at hand, to do whatever it is the being feels needs to be done in that very moment. So when somebody davens like that, then the tefillah goes right in. Yemale Hashem. You want the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be fulfilled? Kol mishal esecho. That's all you ever want. It's all you can ever need. Because that will solve all your problems. How will it look when my problems are solved? Who cares? You'll be in a good state. Do you need any other details? You'll be okay. It won't hurt, ever. you'll be grateful that you exist. Does it really matter what it comes with? What type of car? What type of house? If you got that, you got everything. If your nefesh, your ruach, and neshama are healthy, you don't need to have the little things outside to make you feel okay with yourself. You're already okay with yourself. And you enjoy whatever is in front of you. So that's why Yemala Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should be fulfilled, that his name should come back to be the full name. Kol mishal esecha, that's all you want. Ve'hu mula b'tikinim v'zohar HaKodesh al zois yispal kol chosid al zois is called the Shechina. Dai kohoi v'silik esatzma machmasar Shechina kevyochel lezeh koiflin loy parnasosoi, we double his parnasa. What does it mean we double his parnasa? That now, not only is he working for himself, but the Shechina is working for him, the collective is working for him. So now he is not a machzis shekel, he is a shekel mola. He has the full weight of a human spirit working for his betterment, for his healing, for his ability to come back to reality and the truth in a peaceful and plentiful way. So, כמו שמצאנו בכמה מקומות את שלמה המלך עליו השלום, הואיל אשר לא שאלת עושר וכובד ונפש שוויך בידיך, רק חוכמה עמדה לשפט את ישראל, גם עושר וכובד וחוכמה עמדה נוסן לך. It says we see by Shlomo that when a person knows how to ask the right thing, he doesn't lose. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu offered them different options, he said, do you want Oisher, do you want a lot of money, do you want Koved? And he chose Chachma. Because he chose the right thing, that was the key for everything. He got Oisher, he got Koved, and he didn't have any enemies. He didn't even have to go to war. So this was because HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants to give. But a person, by choosing the wrong choices, he could disconnect himself from the good that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to give him. He can disconnect himself from his very own ability to develop, his very own ability to appreciate what's happening over here, to tap into the chachma of this experience, to realize that being alive is an opportunity. Every moment of it is a tremendous opportunity that as soon as we won't have it, we will miss it dearly, I can promise you. Regardless of how painful and how difficult, as soon as we won't have it, we're going to miss it dearly. Because it's so full of potential, so much possibility, so much we can do. But unfortunately, a big portion of that we won't realize until we don't have it, and then we'll realize what we were able to do. But Chachma means that you want to know what you're able to do while you can still do it. That's Chachma. That you can recognize the true nature of what's happening to you in a time where it still matters because there's something that you can affect. There are changes that you can make to eternity while you're still here, while you're still embodied. And even though you'll only understand the depth of what you're doing after you're not embodied any longer, but at that point, you can't change anything. You can just reflect. You can just recognize. You can just realize. You can rejoice. But you can't do. That's why Chazal tell us, Yofa sha'achas shel tshuva ma'asem tovim b'olam hazeh yosem mikol chayei olam habo. Not because it won't be pleasurable. Of course that's going to be more pleasurable. Because Baruch Hu created us lisanag el Hashem. Lisanag el Hashem means take all the pleasures you've ever had and put them in a bucket, and put just a little tiny taste of lisanag el Hashem in the other bucket, and your stuff, your pleasures are going to fly so high you won't even see them. The bucket's just going to land with such force that everything you've ever experienced is just going to go flying in the wind. That's lisanag el Hashem. That's why you were created. That's what He wants to do to you. That's the type of love that He has for you. But the words, the associations, the ruchos rois that we've created inside of ourselves are not allowing us access. Tonight is the yahrzeit of the Mechaber of the Dega Machne Ephraim. What a schus we have to be learning a Sefer. This was a man that was just soaked in goodness, soaked in chesed. When we say Zchus HaYogan Eleini, why do we say when we mention the Tzaddik's name, Zchus HaYogan Eleini, what does that mean? Zechus is the opposite side of choiv. So to be down somebody lekav zchus is the opposite of being down somebody lekav choiv. To be down somebody lekav zchus comes from the midas hachesed, and to be down somebody lekav choiv comes from the midas hadin. These tzaddikim, they so deeply eradicated their midas hadin that they couldn't see anything but good in human beings. So he says, Chus HaYogan Aleini, his chus, his midah of chesed should be magen on us. How will it happen? If only we can see ourselves with the same favorable eyes that the tzaddik would have seen us. The schus that was in him, that if he would have seen us, he would have seen a chelek elekam imal, he would have seen a divine entity, he would have seen a beautiful being, and he would know what to do with it. That schus should trickle it into our minds so that we can see ourselves in that light, so we can feel that schus within us. So we should all be zoichet that the schus of the Mechaber, the Dega Machne Ephraim, and the schus of his grandfather, Reb Yisrael ben Eliezer, the Baal Shem Tov, should be making on us, should be making on all of Klal Yisrael, and we should be able to see how the Shekhinah starts healing, how the collective, how the words that create our nefoshes, that are mitzayir, our reality, become better to us, become more kind, become more pleasurable. And through that we'll go out of Golus. B'meir b'yameinu.